Hey guys, Anthony, RG Reviews. Today we got a Ruger P89 that we're going to be reviewing. This particular P89 I actually purchased used from a friend. I paid $300 for it. It came with a Kydex holster, paddle holster, 3 magazines, 3 15-round magazines, and also a, I think 2 33-round Pro Mag magazines. It was a pretty good buy, I thought. First time I took it to the range, it was pretty much confirmed that it was a great buy. I mean, I always known from word of mouth, and a couple times I fired them, that P89s were reliable, pretty accurate, easy to shoot, and I'd always been interested in getting one. However, I just never found the right price. I didn't feel like paying $350, which is usually what I would find at like a pawn shop or something. And I didn't want to pay that much for something that I knew was, on the market for $300 and less at places. So I just waited, bided my time, finally found one for the right price, got it, love it. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on the P89 first. We're going to talk a little bit about the specs of the gun itself and what it's capable of and everything. Before I do any of that, of course, we're going to go ahead and safety check the weapon, take the magazine out, which of course is empty, and then we'll just rack the slide back. And I'll show you that the entire pistol is in fact empty, 100%. So yeah, the P89, when I first got it and first started to fire the gun, I pretty much fell in love with it. The recoil is just gone. There's none. It's like the only thing you really feel with the recoil is the initial impulse of the round going off, and then of course the slap of the slide, because it does kind of have a heavy slide, so you can feel the slide reciprocating with each fire. But I mean, I kind of like that. What I also like about the pistol itself is the fact that it is big, bulky, it's kind of heavy, and all those things that people would normally say and put that in as a negative for the pistol itself, I would say is definitely a positive. The way the overbuilding of the gun itself makes it basically like a tank. You don't have to worry about any kind of problems with the gun as far as reliability, function, strength of the parts. They're all pretty strong. I mean, Ruger P89s have been out for a long time. The P89s, the original Ruger P85s, were designed in 1985 by Ruger. They're actually released in '87. And this is, a P89 is basically a P85, but a P89 is an updated version. So they were released in 1987. They had a short recall when they were initially released due to a safety issue causing the ability to fire when it was decocked. Basically, if the firing pin broke off the head of the block, then because it was floating, if the hammer were to strike the firing pin, it still would carry enough inertia to possibly cause a round to go off, which actually did occur in one situation. However, nobody was hurt. Ruger made the recall public to everyone who was purchasing a Ruger, and so they really did what they should have done. They made it free. The fix was free. They called them in, they got them fixed, they sent them back out. When it was re-released, basically I think late '87 it was re-released, and it was called the MK2 or MKII. It basically was just safety was updated, and that was pretty much it. Ruger's P89s, as they come factory, I believe there's 3 different models. There's a model with a decocker. There's a model with a decocker safety, which this one has. That's the standard base model. And then there's also a double action only model, which has a no decocker, no safety or anything. Of course, double action only. So I'd like to get a hold of one of the decocker only versions, because I don't really care for the safety, staying in a safe position. That doesn't do anything for me. The double action pull itself is kind of plenty of safety for me, so I don't really worry about it going off. I don't worry about any kind of accidents occurring, because I'm pretty careful with my guns for the most part. So that's just kind of superfluous to me, I guess. But I'll give you a little bit of stats on the gun. The gun actually weighs 32 ounces, which is why a lot of people think it's chunky, but in actuality, when you look at the weight, that's really not that bad. I mean, if you look at let's just say, of course everybody throws out 1911 because it's heavy, but 1911's 40 plus ounces regardless of the model you get. Unless you're having a aluminum frame model, it's still, you're looking at close to 40 ounces. So 40 plus ounces for 1911, 36 some ounces for some of the SIGs, all the way down to 30 ounces for some of the SIGs. So 32, while being heavy, let's say it's 7, almost 8 ounces heavier than a Glock, is really not that heavy when it comes to, you have a full-size pistol and it's a metal frame as well. It's not a polymer frame, so you know that kind of adds on a little bit of extra weight. Even though it is just aluminum, investment cast aluminum, it is a little heavier than a polymer frame would be. The slide itself is carbon steel, as is the barrel. Almost all of the internal parts are stainless steel. Of course, like I said, the investment cast aluminum frame. Overall, it's a well-made, pretty much built like a tank pistol. Ruger really did a good job when they developed the pistol, and you can tell they did a good job because of the longevity of the pistol itself. From 1987 until it was discontinued. The P89 itself was discontinued in 2007, which means that this exact pistol was being produced for 20 years, pretty much. I mean, 85, 89 is the same thing with a couple upgrades, but I mean, it was being produced for 20 years, and that's a pretty good run for a modern day pistol anymore. Usually they try and change the models out every decade or so they can get some new fresh stuff or put some new updates in them and whatnot. But we'll talk a little bit about magazine capacity. Communist states, of course, get 10-round magazines. Boo-hoo for you. That's what you get for living there. All the free states, of course, are going to come with 15-round steel magazines. They're going to have plastic base plate, plastic follower, like most magazines will come with these days. They're the good magazines. 15 rounds is not really that high capacity when you're looking at a gun the size of a Ruger P89. But for the time, that was your basic average capacity for a 9mm double stack, so that's what you get. The good thing is they're cheap magazines, easy to find everywhere. Pretty much any P89, any P-series 9mm will pretty much fit a P89, so you're good to find them anywhere. They're not that expensive. Another good thing is, of course, Metgar, who is always in the market to make aftermarket magazines to pretty much factory quality standards. They came out with a few different magazines for the P89 or P-series 9mm. This one is a 20-round magazine, blued steel. It fits the gun perfect. It slides in, it sticks out about 1.25 inches from the base, but it gives you an extra 5 rounds capacity. It does lock the slide back, it works, it feeds, functions perfectly. I've fired hundreds and hundreds of rounds through this magazine particularly. I've never had a problem with it. The Ruger itself, since I bought it and started firing it, I've actually never had a problem with whatsoever. So, you know, reliability, basically anything you could ask for in a pistol, the Ruger P89 has. It comes with 3-dot fixed sights, which I'm not going to show you the picture on the sights really because it's hard to get it up there and get it on because I'm upside down right now, basically. But it comes with 3-dot fixed sights. They're good sights. They're easy to acquire. There are nicer sights being made, and then there are a lot worse sights being made, so there's no reason to complain about them. The trigger pull is decent. Of course, it's going to be a little bit creepy. Talking about a early 80s 9mm Wonder 9 basically, and that's basically what you get is kind of a creepy trigger pull. I mean, you get a little bit of take up. If I'll show you this a little bit. Here, let me see. You get a little bit of take up, and then as soon as the take up is gone, then you're going to get of course you're going to hit the wall where it's about to break. And when you squeeze a little bit more, there's just a little bit of travel before it actually releases. It's not too heavy. It's plenty light enough and plenty crisp enough to do pretty accurate work with. The gun itself is actually pretty accurate. I've never had a problem putting them on. I can do pretty decent groups with the gun. This particular gun itself does shoot low and to the right for me. Actually, up close, say at 21 feet, this gun is probably 3 inches low and about 1.5 inches to the right. So I don't really care too much for how the point of aim, but I mean, that's something that you're kind of stuck with. Could be the load, could be the fact that it's only 21 feet. I'm sure at 25 yards, the point of impact would adjust itself a little, but that's basically what I get with it from the get-go. I have Hogue rubber grips, the finger groove grips, 5 million times better than the grips that came on the gun. The grips that come on the gun are really slick. I just dislike them as a general rule. It's the similar thing with the P95. Basically, the reason I bought this over P95 is because I could replace the grips. Actually, when the gun actually came with the grips. When I was looking for P89s, I had already decided on buying the grips anyway. So just a plus that I didn't have to spend the $30 for the grips. So, but with the grips, you get a really solid grasp. The gun is in hand, it's not going anywhere, and of course the rubber always gives you a good grip on it. A lot of people talk about rubber maybe being maybe not the best material for a concealment pistol. As thick as this Ruger is, there's no way I'm going to try and conceal it. It's just way too big. When you look at the takedown lever and you look at the decocker, and the slide itself is bulky. The frame's actually more bulky than the slide. It's just way too big for me to try to conceal. I'm 6 foot tall, I'm about 215 pounds, 210 pounds, and pretty slim build, so a big bulky pistol on my waist just prints like no other. I don't wear real baggy clothes, so there's no way I can really conceal it. If I was going to conceal anything, of course, I have a Ruger P89, or I'm sorry, this is what this is, a Kel-Tec P11 that I like to conceal. I also like to carry around sometimes my Glock, which I was going to have out here, but I think I actually left it, it's in my car. But I usually keep that in my car, and I got my Glock 22, and that pretty much goes with me wherever I need a serious gun to go with me. The P11 follows me wherever I need to go if it's not a big deal. But yeah, the P89 is definitely one of the best, especially for the price. When you look at a gun that you can pay $300 for, and look at all the guns on the market right now that you can get for $300. Look at all of the surplus guns, look at all the used guns, look at all the guns, any gun you can find for $300. And basically, the Ruger is going to be its equal or better. I mean, there's nothing that the Ruger can't do that another gun can do. Sure, some of them may have a higher capacity, some of them may be, you know, whatever. Not like it really matters. It's just a great gun. I mean, in the shoot, I did a short shooting video. It's on my page, on our page. It's you can see there's no recoil. You know, you can see that, and if you can see where the targets are hitting, I mean, it's hitting its target. I mean, I know where it hits, so I aim to accordingly, but it's just a great gun. I'm going to do a really short breakdown. I don't like breaking down the pistol because it's just irritating, but I'll do a short breakdown so you can see basically what you have to do. First thing you're going to do is, of course, make sure that the gun is empty. Of course, there's no magazine in the gun, and with the slide locked to the rear, you can see all the way through that it is in fact completely empty. While the slide is locked to the rear, you're going to take this notch right here, you push this down, this whole lever will switch down. You'll be able to see that you cannot see through the pistol anymore, so it's down. Then you have this takedown lever slash slide stop, slide release. The button's right here for it. You're going to push down on the button and you're going to release it. Just pull it back a little bit, push it, it's going to release. It'll slide out. It's captive, so it's not going to go anywhere. You don't have to worry about losing it. Then the pistol is going to slide back into its forward position. You just pop the slide off, it's good to go. If you want to see inside here, this is what the pistol looks like internally, the frame at least. This is that piece that I had to press down. I'll go ahead and pull that up for you, and so you can see it. And you just push this down and you're good to go. And so that's the frame. Of course, this is what the slide looks like with the barrel still in it. The slide comes out. This is really basically just like a any other semi-automatic pistol. I mean, you got a recoil guide rod. This is not captive, but it's as good as you're gonna get. It's pretty decent. It's easy to put in. It's not like most free springs and guide rods that are just a real piece of something. The barrel's nice. It looks a little dirty. It's actually not. It's been oiled repeatedly. It's just from working the slide over and over, you get a little bit of metal dust in there, but the barrel's nice. It's the camming system. The P89 actually works off from basically a Browning recoil. It's a short recoil system. It's kind of a hybrid between a SIG P220 style and a 1911 tilting barrel. Basically a 1911 tilting barrel. The only difference would be the camming system right here, which makes the difference in the action itself. The slide itself is just basic ho-hum slide. There's nothing special whatsoever about it. It's just your basic stuff. To reassemble is the same way as it was to take it out, except for opposite. You're going to put your barrel in. You're going to take your guide rod. This little cam right here has to be all the way back for you to put it together correctly. So if I can get that to do it, and then there you go. It's going to sit on a notch in there. It's perfect. It's ready to go. Take the frame, put the frame back on. It's just like any pistol on the planet, really. I mean, almost all pistols break down the same when it comes down to it. There's generally a lever that you have to release or a pin that you have to push out. It generally has to be locked to the rear or just pulled to the rear slightly, so it's pretty much basic. So yeah, anyway, that's the basic disassemble and reassemble of the pistol. This is the Ruger P89. It's one of my favorite quality handguns for a really decent price. You can pick them up pretty much anywhere. If you see one, pick it up because it's worth the money. It's definitely worth having around. You know, last ditch, this gun is going to function, period. I've never had a malfunction. You don't hear about malfunctions with these guns. The only thing you hear about them is that they're ugly and they work forever. And personally, I don't think they're ugly. So, I mean, great gun, love it, absolutely. If you see it around, pick it up, you won't regret it. Great buy. This is Anthony with RG Reviews again. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate the subscriptions. We also appreciate the views. You guys are rocking. I love all the comments. I haven't been able to really respond to much of the comments on the videos that I made. Some stuff going on around, but I really appreciate the attention paid, and I really appreciate watching and all that. So y'all take it easy, y'all be good, take care, and see you around. Peace.